Today, I'm gonna be glazing this relic effect, as you you'd say. The one called, the frig is it called again? The one called defeating enemies fills more of the art gauge. Because it's just too good, especially with Nightfarers that have damaging ults. But this video is going to be different. I'm not just showing you an expedition with commentary or anything like that, but we're actually going to be analyzing it. I tested this relic effect for at least 10 different runs on Executor, because you know, Executor main right here, and it just totally surprised me. So let me go ahead and show you the relic combination that I ran during these expeditions and kind of break down what I experienced in the raids and the average times that I was able to pop my ult in those 10 runs. Okay, so first let's take a look at the build that I actually ran for this video. The most important relic that I'm running here is the Dark Knight of the Champion relic, which of course has the effect that we need. Defeating enemies fills more of the art gauge. What that is going to do is it fills up the gauge by 5% per enemy defeated. All right, and I chose this relic because the other effects that it has just synchronizes well with the build that I wanted to run overall with Executor. And then we have the ult art gauge +2, which will also help us out to fill the gauge up by, I believe, 7.5% faster during combat. Definitely run a +3 if you have kind of a better relic setup. This is the one that I chose here because of the, you know, the roaring restores HP, just in case, you know, just in case I come through a bell-bearing hunter. I don't want it to wreck me when I'm in beast mode, you know what I mean? And then of course the Dark Knight of the Miasma relic to finish it off with a chilling mist and the invisibility. All right, so that is the build right there. So while testing, my mission was to see how many times I could get my ult in one run. I basically hit as many camps and forts as possible, any point of interest that had multiple enemies, and each time I got to them, I pretty much just popped my ult immediately. This expedition approach actually set me up for quick ult gauge refills. So let's start at the beginning of every expedition. What most players will do at the very beginning of the expedition is when the bird drops them, they'll hit those camps near the spawn. We'll just call them the spawn camp for the sake of this video. All right, with this relic combo, watch how the spawn camp fills the gauge after I clear it out. And I just needed 2 more enemies after that for a full gauge fill. Without this relic, spawn camp only kind of gives you about 40% or less. And this was consistent through most of my expeditions, so a full gauge right from spawn camp, man, that's perfect for hitting Everjails immediately right after. So once I actually started running to camps, forts, and other POIs, I had my ult ready at every new location. I kid you not. I used it on the bosses and used it to wipe out all the other enemies within that area. And I did notice that there were times where I would kill field mobs between going to these POIs, and it would actually help fill up my gauge for the next spot. Like, look at this for instance. All right, watch this. 60% gauge here, quick field mob clear, and it just instantly fills it up. And here's another one. Need an ult before the basement boss. The quick jelly kills here, boom, full gauge. I'm telling you, man, I started noticing stuff like this where I was just, oh, I'm 60%, 70% my ult gauge. Let me kill a few enemies real quick just to get it. And here's another, you know, trash mob filling it completely. Sometimes at around 50% ult gauge before a day 2 field boss, I just cleared nearby enemies for a quick fill, and it just felt so convenient. What I started to figure out also is this was really fun. This beats boring Everjail runs, actually trying to get to different POIs and using the ult as many times as possible. The roar also actually gets good use out of this. I mean, look at that coverage. Also, most expeditions I did easily hit level 13 to 15 playing this way, just clearing camps, forts, and mobs. Now, the number that y'all have been waiting for. How many times did I actually get my ult? Like, what is the average number of times that I actually was able to fill this gauge up out of all of my runs? The answer is 10. I was popping my ult within an average of 10 times or more during each run. Like, I think the most that I had my ult in one run was like 12 times, and that's including the Night Lord fights as well. I think that was like the Augur fight. Yeah, that I probably could have filled it up 3 times during that fight if I just wanted to stall it out. But anyway, now you might be saying, this doesn't really help me in most Night Lord fights, which is true. It's true. But it's what's getting to the Night Lord that matters, right? You want to make it easier for yourself throughout the whole expedition to actually get to the final boss. And having that many ults in one run, especially ones like Executor or Iron Eye, maybe even the Raider, you know, Revenant, all of those very good ults, man, that makes a huge difference. And like I mentioned, the Augur fight, that's an exemption. That's an exception. The other exception is the Everdark Libra, because you will be fighting, you know, your own mimics. So you'll have multiple enemies that you'll fight there to help fill your gauge up. And with the Augur fight, actually with both of those fights, I filled my gauge up pretty much like twice every time. But yeah, with Augur, I'd delete babies with Roar. That doesn't really sound right, man. I defeat the little jelly sperm looking joints with Roar, fill that gauge up again, rinse and repeat. I pretty much felt like I defeated that boss with my ultimate. Bottom line though, this setup isn't just viable, it's fun. I know I keep mentioning fun, but I mean, that is what gaming is about, right? It just feels like this is the right way to use the ult, especially for the Nightfarers that have, like I said, the damaging ults. I mean, think about it. Imagine Iron Eye hitting their ultimate this often. And yes, it's definitely good when you're playing with other people as well, because having your ult multiple times only helps your teammates. But yeah, that was my little rant and all this. Definitely give this build or this relic effect a try, you know, come up with something else on your own. If you're an Executor main, you know, maybe kind of use the same thing that I used, you know, you won't regret it. But if this helped, smash that like, subscribe, hit that bell for the notifications, of course. Comment your favorite relic combos, or, you know, what you want me to test next. But most importantly, have a good rest of the day. In the meantime, Mamiya.